When people talk about saving for retirement, the common assumption is that you should save about 10 to 15% of your income. But how do you really know if this is the right number? How can you tell that you won't be falling short? Hi everyone, my name is Koby, and in today's video we will talk about whether saving 10% of your income will get you the retirement that you've always dreamed of. So let's jump right in. Now, when you're young and you have all your life ahead, you have plenty of time to make changes and adjustments when it comes to your retirement funds. But the more you get older, to the age of retirement, the room that you have for mistakes keeps getting more and more narrow, and falling short can have a detrimental effect on your lifestyle. Throughout your life, as your income level increases, so is your standard of living, which means that you earn more money, but you also increase your expenses. And that's exactly why most financial advisors would suggest building your retirement fund by allocating a certain percentage of your pre-tax income. Now, unless you're extremely diligent with saving for your retirement, and you do that in addition to saving for other things like buying a house or going on your annual vacation, and you start when you're in your early 20s, there is a good chance that 10% will just not cut it. Now, for most people, the goal in retirement is to simply keep the same level of living before and after retirement. And the problem is that not always it's possible to stay consistent with saving 10% throughout your entire life. And when you break it down to the different life stages, some of them will be easier to save in and some of them will be harder. Now, let's see exactly how this works. Most people, you'll be finishing up high school and start working or go to college or university. You'll be single or have a spouse for a while before you start having kids. And potentially as a student, you'll be living with your parents or with roommates, and your income will be low, but so as your expenses and liabilities. This will be a great opportunity to start saving money aggressively for a down payment on a house, and as well as to start saving for your retirement. In the next life cycle, you'll be starting a family, buying your first or upgrading your home, and you will potentially have your family to support you. In this stage, your income will probably be higher, however, one parent potentially be taking some time away from work, and your mortgage and child expenses will be high. At this point, it will be really difficult to save for retirement, as you're most likely focusing on not getting into debt, while you're also trying to save money for your children's education. And in the next life cycle, your career and income should be at the peak. Your kids are most likely moved out, and your mortgage is paid off completely or very close to it. This would be a great phase to really push on those retirement savings. So you see, if you start saving for retirement at an early age, this would really take the pressure down, because your portfolio had 30 or 40 years to grow before retirement and another 20 or 30 years after you retire. Now let's look at a few scenarios and see how the duration of your savings for retirement can affect the percentage of how much you need to save in order to accumulate the same portfolio size. Now let's take Michael, a web developer who is a completely made-up guy who earns $55K a year and starts saving 10% of his pre-tax income when he's 25. And if his retirement portfolio earns 5% annually before inflation or 3% real return, after 40 years he would accumulate $409,000 in his retirement fund. And the second person we will look at is Dana, which works full-time as a nurse and follows a more typical and common life cycle case scenario. Dana earns the same amount of income but saves 20% of her income in the first 10 years between the age of 25 and 35. Then for the next 20 years, from 35 to 55, she saves $0 because of her high expenses. And so in order for her to save and accumulate the same amount of money in her portfolio when she reaches 65, she would need to save 17% of her income for the next 10 years between the age of 55 and 65. Now, the third person we'll look at is Robert, Robert is a construction worker who was not able to save anything between the age of 25 and 35 because he was just too busy living the good life. Then when he married Becky and had his 3 kids, due to high mortgage payments and high kids-related expenses, he was not able to save also between the ages of 35 and 55. And so for Robert to accumulate the same amount as Dana and Michael when they all reach 65, he would need to save between the age of 55 and 65 a whopping 65% of his income. This means he would have to save 6.5 times more than what he would have to save if he started saving at the age of 25 like Michael. No pressure. You get the point, right? It is extremely important to start saving for retirement when you're young if you want to lower the pressure the more you get closer to your retirement age. Now, it is worth mentioning that these 3 scenarios reflect the fact that their income was only increased to keep up with the inflation rate, which is pretty conservative, but as we discussed earlier, usually when your income level goes up, so does your expenses. Now, do keep in mind that you always have the option to keep working past the age of 65, which actually reduces the total amount of assets you would need in order to keep the same lifestyle level even after you retire due to a shorter retirement. But you know what? No one would really volunteer to do that, so it is always recommended to have this as a fallback plan if things go wrong and your retirement savings doesn't go as planned. Now here it is on a more simplified way, so it will be easier to remember. To accumulate the same amount of assets when you retire if you start saving when you're 25 would be 10%. And if you wait 5 more years, you would need to save 12%. And if you wait until you're 40, you would need to save 21% of your annual pre-tax income to hit the same retirement goals. So as you can see, determining what is the right percentage to save for retirement really depends on your own personal circumstances. Like, how old are you? How much is your income? How old are you planning to be when you retire? And what kind of lifestyles are you planning to have throughout your retirement years? And really the best and most accurate way to know how much you need to save is to run a financial projection of your retirement and then work your way backwards. This way you'd know if you need to save 5, 15, or 20% or even more of your income. And as I always say, when it comes to planning for your retirement, it is always a good idea to seek professional advice and never rely solely on videos you see here on YouTube. That's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching, and if you haven't done that already, make sure to destroy the like button. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to know more about personal finance and investing, make sure to subscribe to my channel and also make sure to hit the notification bell so YouTube will notify you whenever a new video is uploaded. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.